Hello friends. Today I have some exciting news for you. It's about a study that was conducted just last month, which discovered powerful effects of reversing aging in humans who were taking a relatively new drug. The scientists have just published the results, and honestly it sounds like something out of science fiction. But the truth is these results are real, and this could change everything we know about aging. The drug we're talking about is called Henagliflozin, and doctors in China have been using it as a treatment for type 2 diabetes. But when researchers took a closer look, they discovered something incredible. This drug was literally reversing aging at the cellular level. So let me explain what the September 2025 study found. 150 people with type 2 diabetes enrolled in a reputable clinical trial. Half of them received the drug Henagliflozin at a dose of 10 milligrams. The other half received a placebo, and all of them took their assigned treatment every day for 26 weeks. Did the researchers expect better blood sugar control? Because that's what this drug was designed for. But they tested something else as well, something that most diabetes studies never look at. They measured the participants' telomeres. Now, a quick scientific explanation for those who aren't familiar. Your DNA is like a shoelace, and at the end of each shoelace, there's a small plastic tip. That tip prevents the shoelace from fraying. Well, telomeres are basically those plastic tips, but for your DNA. And every time your cells divide, those tips get a little shorter until eventually they become so short that your cells can no longer divide, they just stop working, and that's what aging is. Shorter telomeres mean older cells. This is basic biology. It happens to everyone, or at least that's what we thought, because this is where things get weird. Those who were taking Henagliflozin had their telomeres get longer, not shorter, but longer. After 6 months of taking this drug, their cells appeared younger than when they started. They literally reversed one of the key markers of cellular aging, and telomeres weren't the only thing that changed. Those who took Henagliflozin also had better blood sugar control, which was expected. After all, this is a diabetes medication. But this is where things get strange, and I have to say, really exciting. The group that took Henagliflozin also had higher levels of a certain protein. This protein is associated with slowing down aging. But that's not the whole story. They also developed stronger immune cells. Their immune cells were now better at killing damaged cells. Their ketone levels had also increased. In other words, their bodies were acting as if they were fasting, even though they weren't. In fact, their bodies had entered a state similar to calorie restriction. We already know that calorie restriction is supposed to increase lifespan, and it seemed that Henagliflozin was doing the same thing without actual starvation. All these benefits we just mentioned could potentially be game changers, so I think it's important that we now see exactly how Henagliflozin works. So how does a diabetes drug do all of this? Henagliflozin is an SGLT2 inhibitor. Let me explain what that means in simple terms. Your kidneys normally retain sugar. They don't want to waste it. But this drug tells the kidneys, let's get rid of some of this sugar. So you excrete the excess glucose through your urine, and this lowers your blood sugar. That's the diabetes part. But apparently this process also triggers a whole chain of other effects. It changes your metabolism. It shifts your hormones. It makes your body think it's in a fasting state, and all of this affects aging. Researchers really didn't expect this. They thought they were just treating diabetes, but they ended up with something much bigger. So let's take a closer look at why the empagliflozin group experienced all these benefits, and we'll start with boosting the immune system because this is really cool. Your immune system has cells called fighter T cells. Think of them as your body's cleanup crew. They go and find damaged cells, infected cells, and cells that have gone bad and destroy them. But as you get older, these T cells become lazy. They don't do their job as well anymore, and that's part of the reason why older people get sick more easily. But in this study, the group that took Henagliflozin had more active T cells. They had higher levels of proteins called granzyme B and perforin. These are the weapons that T cells use to kill bad cells. So not only were the cells becoming younger, but their immune system was also getting stronger. Now let's take a closer look at those fasting effects I mentioned earlier. Henagliflozin made people's bodies act as if they were fasting, even though they were eating normally. And how do we know this? Because their blood showed higher levels of something called beta-hydroxybutyrate, which is a ketone. Your body produces this when you're fasting or on a ketogenic diet, and we know that ketones are linked to better cellular resistance to stress. All of these together make up the metabolic signature of calorie restriction. Scientists have known for decades that eating less can increase lifespan in animals, and this drug was producing exactly the same effect, but without hunger. Now, although this research was conducted using an SGLT2 inhibitor that is only available and approved in China, there are several other SGLT2 inhibitors available in the US and Europe. These include empagliflozin, marketed as Jardiance, and dapagliflozin, marketed as Farxiga. This is great news because essentially all SGLT2 inhibitors work through the same main pathway and activate the same anti-aging mechanisms. Empagliflozin or Jardiance and dapagliflozin, on the other hand, they are the most extensively researched, and it has already been proven that they reduce cellular aging, increase lifespan in mice, and protect your heart and kidneys. In short, all three of them almost certainly have a telomere lengthening effect. So who can use these drugs and benefit from them? If you already have type 2 diabetes, heart failure, or chronic kidney disease, talk to your doctor. They are approved for these conditions and your insurance will probably cover them. But if you're healthy and just interested in longevity, it's more complicated, because these drugs have not yet been approved for anti-aging purposes. You're using them off-label, meaning outside of the approved indications, and while the science is promising, it's still in the early stages. We have 6 months of data on telomeres, not 10 years of data on lifespan. So this is a personal decision. Some people say the evidence is enough for me. Others say I'll wait for more research. Both perspectives are valid. Well, the potential benefits of SGLT2 inhibitors seem amazing. But are these drugs safe? Well, the good news is that SGLT2 inhibitors have been on the market since 2023. So we have over 10 years of safety data, millions of people have used them, and large trials have followed patients for 3 to 4 years. So their safety profile is well established. They have mild common side effects, which can include urinary tract infections and dehydration if you're not careful. But serious problems are extremely rare. What we still don't know is whether the increase in telomeres remains if you continue taking Henagliflozin for years. Does it really lead to a longer life, and does it prevent Alzheimer's, cancer, or other age-related diseases? The Henagliflozin study only lasted 6 months. That's enough time to see if telomeres get longer, but we really need studies that last 5, 10, maybe even 20 years to know whether this actually means you age more slowly or not. The good news for us is that these drugs have already been proven to protect your heart and kidneys over the years. So even if the anti-aging effects need more research, there are real health benefits that have already been established. Ultimately, the study we talked about today is part of a bigger trend. Scientists are beginning to treat aging itself as a disease, not just the symptoms of aging, but its root cause. The 2020s might actually be the decade we look back on and say, that's when we figured out how to slow down aging, not stop it, not completely reverse it, but slow it enough to give us more healthy years. That's the current goal, and research like this brings us closer to it. And finally, just be aware that this video is for educational purposes only. I'm not giving anyone medical advice in this video. You shouldn't make any changes to your medications without consulting your doctor. Thank you for staying with me until the end of the video. Please hit the like button, and to help this video reach more people, press the hype options below the video and let me know in the comments which country and city you're watching from. Check out these videos as well. For more information, until the next video, take care.